Fly, you fools! This theory claims Gandalf's dying words were instructions to take the ring to eagles he'd arranged to meet, not just to flee. Gandalf uses eagles for rescue multiple times throughout the films, so the word fly could be literal. Some fans theorize the Fellowship was traveling toward a secret eagle rendezvous point all along. Except the entire Council of Elrond's strategy emphasized secrecy. Eagles would be immediately spotted by Sauron's forces. Fell beasts and Nazgul patrol the skies constantly. Gandalf has no authority to command eagles since they serve no one. Not a single Fellowship member understood this supposed plan. Director commentary and Tolkien scholars confirm Gandalf simply meant run away and don't die here. Popular internet theory, completely debunked.
Faramir's character was corrupted. Jackson fundamentally betrayed Faramir's character by making him tempted by the ring and capturing the Hobbits, destroying his thematic purpose as the one man who resisted. Film Faramir captures Frodo and Sam, takes them to Osgiliath, and nearly claims the ring, before relenting at the last moment. Book Faramir immediately recognizes the danger, never considers taking the ring, and aids the Hobbits from their first meeting without hesitation. Jackson admitted in commentary he wanted to show the ring's power affects all men, and needed to create dramatic conflict. Faramir ultimately resists, demonstrating nobility in the end. Extended Edition restores some character through scenes with Denethor showing his wisdom. His eventual resistance arguably makes his nobility more hard-won, but, sure, completely change what made the character special in the first place. One of the most divisive changes Jackson made, acknowledged in director commentary as deliberate alteration that many fans consider a fundamental misunderstanding of the character. Dead Army's power. Jackson made the Army of the Dead far more powerful than Tolkien intended, transforming them from psychological weapon to unstoppable physical force. In films, the army sweeps through Pelennor fields instantly, single-handedly winning the battle in minutes. In books, they only clear the Corsairs at Pelargir, far from Minas Tirith, and Aragorn brings living reinforcements to the actual battle. Jackson combined multiple book events for pacing, and to avoid introducing too many locations. Extended Edition provides slightly more context. Cinematically, their dramatic entrance needed to justify the entire Paths of the Dead sequence. Confirmed change that many book fans consider the worst alteration Jackson made, creating a Deus Ex Machina ending that trivializes the stakes. By the way, if you like movie content like this, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks. The Eye of Sauron is a metaphor. Jackson's literal flaming eyeball misinterprets Tolkien. The eye should be a metaphor for Sauron's searching will and perception, not his actual physical form. Gollum describes Sauron having 4 fingers on the Black Hand, confirming physical form exists. Book readers note the eye is Sauron's heraldic symbol, and the text uses it metaphorically throughout. The eye represents his far-seeing power enhanced by the Palantir, not his body. Jackson's films consistently depict the eye as literal and physical. Within the film universe, this interpretation stays consistent. Jackson himself acknowledged struggling with how to depict Sauron cinematically without making him look ridiculous. Book evidence strongly supports the metaphorical interpretation, but Jackson deliberately chose literal visualization for cinematic impact that audiences could understand. Gollum killed Frodo's parents. Frodo's parents drowned in a mysterious boating accident on the Brandywine River when he was 12. The official story says it was just bad luck, but of course there's more to it. Gollum's only clues after losing the ring were Shire and Baggins. As a former store hobbit, Gollum knew water and boats better than most. Witnesses claimed they saw a struggle during the drowning, not just an accident. Gandalf tells Frodo that Gollum reached the Brandywine River before turning back. That's the exact location and time frame of the deaths. Drogo was the only Baggins living in Buckland along that river, making him an easy target for a creature hunting revenge. The theory suggests Gollum mistook Drogo for Bilbo, drowned them both in a rage, then realized he still didn't have the ring. Films never confirm this connection, and Gollum never mentions killing anyone besides Deagle, but the geographic coincidence and timing line up suspiciously well. Sam is the real hero. Sam fights Shelob single-handedly when Frodo's paralyzed. He carries Frodo up Mount Doom when Frodo physically can't continue. Sam willingly returns the ring after briefly bearing it, showing incredible resistance. Frodo ultimately fails at the Crack of Doom, unable to destroy the ring when it matters most. Tolkien himself called Sam the chief hero of the story in his own words. However, Frodo bore the ring's crushing psychological weight for the entire journey. Both needed each other. Sam couldn't have gotten the ring to Mordor without Frodo's determination, and Frodo needed Sam's support to survive. The films present them as complementary heroes, not one overshadowing the other. Tolkien's assessment supports the theory, but it oversimplifies their mutual heroism. Backup ring bearers. This theory suggests Gandalf anticipated Frodo might die and sent Merry, Pippin, and Sam as backup ring bearers to increase mission success odds. Hobbits demonstrate unusual resistance to ring corruption compared to men. Sending inexperienced youngsters on a suicide mission makes little tactical sense unless they serve a specific purpose. Multiple hobbits increase probability of success if one falls along the way. But the films show Merry and Pippin initially sneaking after Frodo, not being officially sent. Gandalf's stated reason was providing Frodo emotional support, not strategic redundancy. The Council of Elrond didn't plan for multiple Hobbit ring-bearers at all. Interesting interpretation with zero concrete support from production commentary. Sauron's ignorance of hobbits. The theory claims hobbits emerged as a race after Sauron's first defeat, explaining why he has no knowledge of them and why they resist better than expected. Sauron demonstrates no initial knowledge of hobbits whatsoever. The ring corrupts Bilbo far slower than typical bearers. Gollum retained enough goodness after 500 years to ultimately aid the quest, unlike Min, who turn quickly. Once Sauron learns about hobbits through interrogating Gollum, ring corruption accelerates noticeably. Books indicate older Hobbit origins that contradict this timeline. The ring's corruption is addictive and increases with exposure, regardless of species. Sauron learns about hobbits pretty quickly after capturing Gollum. Films support increasing corruption over time, but leave Hobbit origins completely ambiguous.
Arwen's mortal fate. Films show Arwen beginning to die immediately after choosing mortality, with her fate mysteriously tied to the ring. Arwen visibly weakens throughout the trilogy, without explanation. Elrond tells her, "There is nothing for you here, only death," like it's imminent. She's described as actively dying during the story. Her vision of Eldarion convinces her to stay, despite deteriorating health. This doesn't occur in Tolkien's books at all. Arwen lives over 120 years after choosing mortality, and only dies of grief after Aragorn's death decades later. Films poorly explain the mechanism connecting her to the ring, likely invented to create dramatic stakes and urgency for Aragorn's storyline. Film-only invention with ambiguous internal logic that confuses even movie-only viewers. Balrog's wings debate. The debate: does the Balrog of Moria possess functional wings capable of flight, versus wings being purely metaphorical shadow? Jackson's Balrog clearly displays physical wings. The creature spreads them dramatically during the Gandalf confrontation. So why does it fall into the chasm if it has wings? Tolkien's text is deliberately ambiguous. Shadow about it reached out like two vast wings suggests metaphor, but its wings were spread from wall to wall could be literal. Winged dragons existed separately from Balrogs in Tolkien's Legendarium, suggesting they're different creatures. The Balrog fled Moria on foot when discovered, not flying. Ongoing debate where Jackson made a definitive visual choice for a deliberately ambiguous literary description. Fans still argue about this one constantly. Pippin was influenced by Sauron. Theory claims Pippin's constant mistakes weren't simple foolishness, but evidence of Sauron's influence attempting to sabotage the Fellowship. Pippin is irresistibly drawn to the Palantir despite warnings. He makes repeated, dangerous mistakes throughout the journey. Galadriel warns of betrayal within the Fellowship early on. After the Balrog awakens, some theorize Pippin responds to evil's call. Sauron mistakes Pippin for the ring-bearer after the Palantir incident, proving he didn't control him at all. Pippin proves heroic later, saving Faramir's life and fighting at the Black Gate. His mistakes drive the plot, but aren't evidence of treachery. Theory requires ignoring his entire redemptive character arc, completely contradicts Pippin's demonstrated development and the plot's explicit reveals. Dragon sickness is magical. Thorin's dragon sickness in the Hobbit films isn't ordinary greed, but a magical curse from Smaug's horde, particularly affecting Durin's line.
Films emphasize dragon sickness as hereditary affliction, affecting both Thror and Thorin specifically. Balin explicitly calls it a sickness, rather than simple greed or moral failing. Thorin undergoes dramatic personality transformation after entering the treasure room. The gold itself appears cursed or tainted with magical properties. Tolkien used dragon sickness only once in the books, applying it to the Master of Lake Town, not Thorin. The sickness is better understood as metaphor for overwhelming greed rather than magical curse. Not all dwarves are equally affected by the treasure. Films significantly emphasize supernatural elements beyond Tolkien's more psychological portrayal. Ents tricked by hobbits. Jackson changed the Ents from making a deliberate decision after the Entmoot to being manipulated by Pippin into attacking Isengard. In Jackson's Two Towers, Pippin tricks Treebeard into seeing Isengard's destruction, enraging the Ents into immediate action. Book version has Ents conclude after careful deliberation that war is necessary. Both versions result in the last march of the Ents and Isengard's destruction. Film change serves multiple purposes: character development for Pippin, dramatic pacing, and emphasizing Ents' emotional response. Jackson acknowledged this deliberate alteration from source material for cinematic impact. Confirmed, deliberate change with clear dramatic motivations that fans still debate. The Witch King's prophecy twist. Glorfindel's prophecy, not by the hand of man will he fall, created magical invulnerability versus being merely a prediction. The Witch King declares, "No man can kill me," with supreme confidence, like it's absolute fact. He's defeated by Éowyn, a woman, and Merry, a hobbit, fulfilling the prophecy technically. Scene parallels Macbeth's "none of woman born" prophecy structure. The prophecy was prediction, not protection. It foretold what would happen, not what couldn't happen. Merry's barrow blade, forged specifically against Angmar, was crucial to weakening the Witch King first. Glorfindel meant the Witch King wouldn't return to that land, and his doom was far off, not that he was invulnerable to men. Prophecy was prediction fulfilled through technicality, rather than conferring supernatural immunity. Aragorn's Mouth of Sauron Decapitation. Extended edition scene where Aragorn beheads the mouth of Sauron was correctly cut for being completely out of character. In the extended edition, Aragorn spontaneously decapitates Sauron's emissary at the Black Gate after he taunts them about Frodo. This constitutes a war crime, killing an emissary under flag of truce, completely contrary to Aragorn's established noble character throughout the trilogy. In Tolkien's version, Aragorn stares the mouth down, making him cower without violence. Some defend it as Aragorn recognizing the need to silence the mouth's lies before his allies lose hope and morale breaks. Dramatic beheading emphasizes Aragorn's certainty that Frodo lives, despite the evidence. Jackson cut it from theatrical release, suggesting he recognized the problem himself. Widely criticized edition that Jackson removed, with most fans agreeing it contradicted Aragorn's established character and values. I hope you enjoyed this. I post movie content like this a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.